If type parameter of a generic class can get converted into a data type, then can a method in the generic class return the type parameter? Yes, we can do that. Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 21 of Java and Web, Generics in Java. In this video, we will learn about the methods returning generic type. Now we have two questions. First one is, can a method return generic type? Yes, a method can return generic type. Now the second question is, if generic types are referenced to java.lang.object, then do the method returning generic returns java.lang.object? Yes, the method which returns generic actually returns java.lang.object, a reference of type java.lang.object, but in the control of compiler. How a compiler control the generic type returned by a method in a generic class, we will see in a while. Here we have two Java files, first.java and use.java. In the first.java, we have the class first, which is a generic class. So we have a variable s of type t. After that, we have a constructor of class first. Then we have the method setS, we have the method getS, and we have the method returnS. We already have seen these three methods, constructor and setS and getS. These three methods we already have seen in the previous videos of the session. Here in this video, we are going to more focused on the returnS, whose return type is t, and which returns the reference variable s of type t. So our first target is to find the actual return type of the method returnS. To do that, we have the use.java. In use.java, we are importing all the classes from the package java.lang.reflect because we are going to use the reflection API. If you don't know about the reflection API, then don't worry. Here, I am not going to teach you how to use the reflection API, just I will show you the result. Look at here, in the method main of the class use, we are creating a new object of generic class first with double as its type argument. Then after here, we are calling f2.returnS. That will return the current value of the variable s, and it prints 10.2 because the reference stored by the reference variable s is the reference of an object of type double whose value is 10.2. Therefore, calling here f2.returnS print 10.2. Then after here we are trying to get the name of the class whose reference is returned by the method returnS. Notice here at the execution time for the JVM, t is always of type object. When we call the getClass.getName method on any reference, then it returns the data type which is actually stored in the reference variable s. And we know that what is actually stored in the reference variable s, which is double. That's why printing here f2.returnS.getClass.getName prints double, because this returns what is actually stored into the reference variable s. Now, what we are doing, we are analyzing the class first. While analyzing the class first, we are going through all the methods of the class first, and we are printing the names of the methods and return type of the methods. For the JVM, all the T are of type objects. So when you print the return type of returnS, it will print java.lang.object. So for the JVM, T is java.lang.object. S is a variable of type java.lang.object which stores a reference of an object of type double. That's why here the program prints java.lang.double, but here the program will print return s followed by a space followed by java.lang.object. Let's try this code practically. Open use.java, and this is the same code as we have seen. Open first.java, and this is the same code as we have seen. Try to compile these two codes, Java C, use.java, and first.java. Compiles fine. Now run it. Java use. It executes fine, and look at here. The return type of the method setS is void. The return type of the method getS is void, and the return type of the method returnS is a class whose name is java.lang.object. So for the JVM, the return type of returnS is java.lang.object. But here the compiler interferes. Let's see it. The first .java is same as the earlier slide. After that, we have use.java. In use.java, we have the method main. In the method main, we are creating a new object of type first with double as its type argument. Therefore, when we call the method getS by using the reference variable f2, it will print 10.2. But when we call the method returnS by using the reference variable f2, then it returns a value. What type of value? A value of type double or a value of type object. By rule, the return type of the returnS should be of type object because T is treated as object type by the JVM. But if the return type of the returnS method is of type object, then reference to that object cannot be stored into the reference variable of type double without typecasting. Without typecasting, we cannot do that. But here this code executes without typecasting. Even at the JVM level, the returnS method returns a reference of type object, but we can store that reference of type object into the reference variable of type double without any typecast. So here coming is the role of compiler. Maybe at this time you are not getting my points, but let's do few more experiments. Now let's check the compiler's role in whole process. Open first.java, and this is the same code as we have seen. Open use.java, and this is the same code as we have seen. The value returned by the returnS is directly getting stored into the reference variable d of type double without any typecast. Try to compile these two codes, Java C, use.java, first.java. Compiles fine. Now execute it, Java use, it runs fine and printing the expected output. But this was not expected, that without typecast we can store a reference of type object into reference variable of type double. Actually, what happening here? By looking at the latest value of the variable s, the compiler typecasts the value returned by the returnS, which we as a programmer cannot see. So what is the latest value stored by the variable s? That is 10.2. So the compiler internally typecasts the value returned by the returnS into type double, and that can easily be stored into the variable of type double. This is what is happening here. Let's do something interesting. Let's remove this diamond operator from here and make the object creation as a raw and make the value 10.2 as a string instead of as a double. Now the latest value of the variable s is string 10.2. Therefore, the compiler will first typecast the value returned by the returnS to string and will try to store the string data type into reference variable of type double, which we cannot do. Therefore, at the runtime, the JVM will throw an error that string data cannot be stored into the reference variable of type double. Let's try this code. Compile it. Compiles fine with few warnings because we are using unchecked operation. We are using raw object creation of a generic class. Now execute it. Java use. Java use. So it executes as expected. The class java.lang.string cannot be cast to the class java.lang.double. So hopefully you are getting my points. Now let's look at. Let's make it fully raw. Let's make it fully raw. Now you know that when you create a raw object of a generic class, then the JVM does not care about the type of the type argument, and the type argument remains of type object. So here what will happen? The JVM will not typecast the value returned by the returnS at all, and an object reference will be returned by the method returnS. This is everything what is going to be happened here because the JVM is not in the picture and the type parameter is treated as java.lang.object. That's why here the returnS method returns a reference of type java.lang.object, and we are trying to store the reference returned by f2.returnS into the variable of type t, and that will cause a compile time error. Try to compile this code java c use.java first.java, and the compiler throws an error. Incompatible types object cannot be converted to double. So if you are using a raw object creation for the generic class, then you must need to typecast. To typecast the value returned by the returnS, you need to typecast it double and compile this code. Java C use.java first.java compiles fine with warnings, of course. And at the runtime, the JVM again throws an exception that string cannot be cast to double because look at here, this value is of type string and string cannot be cast to double. So let's make it 10.2. I made it 10.2. Now compile this code. Java C use.java first.java compiles fine. Now execute it. It executes fine and printing fine. But at last, if you provide proper type argument, then you do not need to worry about the typecasting. If you provide type argument, then you do not need to worry about the typecasting. Compiler does the typecasting by itself and the program executes fine. It executes fine. If you were not using the parameterized constructor, instead you were using the status method to set the value of s, then in that case also, by using the latest value of s, the compiler decides in what data type he need to typecast the value returned by the returnS. But notice that when you use the status method by using the reference variable f2, then you are forced to pass only double value as the actual argument of the method status, as we already have seen in the previous videos. So hopefully you got all my points. That's all for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe my channel on YouTube, like my page on Facebook, and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.